Hello, people. What is going on? Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It's international break, so in the West Ham world, everything is all quiet for once. But I'm here to give you a video of West Ham traitors. Who is the biggest Judas at West Ham? Like, who is the man that you despise the most when you look at him on the TV? When you see him in a different shirt, what West Ham player has really drove you mad over the years? Now, I'm going to give you a rundown of my top five and give you my thoughts on these top five players from sort of the present day all the way back to the beginning of my life. So there you go. But before I get started, please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV, hit notification bell, and if you want to become a member of the channel, by all means, become a member of the channel and support the channel. Right, let's get into this. Top five of E20 Zone TV's worst Judas players ever. Let's get into it. Right, start off with this man, Declan Rice. Yes, he's in the top five, I'm afraid. He really is. He's a man that won us a trophy, picked up the trophy, but was articulating a move out of West Ham 6 months before picking up that trophy. Listen, Deck was a great player for West Ham, and he was pretty much too good for West Ham, but he was articulating a move with Arteta and a few others out of West Ham sort of 6 months before the end of the season. With that in mind, he was a player that didn't perform in the cup final, and it was Jared Bowen who sort of took the reins and basically become the legend that we all believe he is. But Deck could have been amazing at West Ham. He could have been a living legend. He's currently at Arsenal. He's doing very, very well. Would he be an Arsenal legend? I don't think so. I don't think so. But he is in my top five. He obviously got a lot of abuse recently in the fixture. And he's a bit like Marmite, Deck. You either like him or you don't. I like him, but I don't like the way he constructed the move out of West Ham. That's my problem with him. I also look at him and go, like, you know, you could have sort of stayed for one more year and basically went that way. But he said he had enough and he wanted out, and his head was fully turned. So obviously, he's my number five. Right. Let's move on to this man, Mr. Paul Ince. He's my number four for the simple fact I was only a young baby. I was about 4 or 5 years old when all that happened with him and the famous sort of holding up or wearing the Manchester United shirt. Now, obviously, Paul Ince is a Cannon Town boy. He was at West Ham, and then obviously he articulated the move from West Ham to Manchester United. But I think he failed a medical, if memory serves me right. I could be wrong, and do correct me in the comment section below if I'm wrong. But he sort of he shot his bolt before it had landed, sort of thing. And yeah, Paul Ince was a man who is very much hated, especially by the older generation of West Ham. Now, it's very difficult for me to remember him because I was so young, but I do remember the outcry, especially in my family and people that I knew at the time, who were so angry and disappointed that a sort of East End boy who sort of been a West Ham player decided to sort of turn his back on the club just to like for money, really, more than anything. So yeah, Paul Ince is my number four. Absolute wrong. And I remember a few years ago people were saying bring back Paul Ince and make him manager many years ago. Yeah, let's not. Anyway, Paul Ince, you're my number four as the most traitorous player to ever go to Manchester United. Right, let's go to this man, Mr. Mohammed Kudus. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he hits the number three spot for me. Anywhere but Spurs. And he turned and said, right, he wanted Spurs. And the way he went around it, absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. I dread the day when he scores a goal against us. That's the moment where I'm dreading the most. Obviously, we signed him from Ajax for £38 million. He come in, he done all right in the first season. Second season he was poor, and he sort of sulked down tools and really wanted his way out of the club. Now he wanted to go to a big club, and then he ends up going to Spurs, which doesn't make a lot of sense for me. He thinks he was better than what he actually was, and he has gone to Spurs, but he sort of pushed for the Spurs move. You just don't go from West Ham to Spurs. It's as simple as that. He is my top three. Very, very disappointed. I was angry in the summer when it happened, and I got clipped up by the Spurs. I'm gonna be straight. He's there. I think he's only scored one goal, which was recently. He's doing okay at Spurs, but he's not doing amazing. He did get a load of abuse at the LS, and I think he thinks it was acceptable just to go from there to like to leave us and go to Spurs. It's never acceptable to go to Spurs at any time, and not when it's a time where he was one of our best players in a situation where now we haven't really replaced him. So Mohammed Judas or Kudus, sorry, is my number three for that. Right. Let's come to this man. Jermain Defoe, ladies and gentlemen. Jermain Defoe. Now, I remember this clear as day. Obviously, watched him come through the youth academy at West Ham. I remember him scoring a goal at Charlton in a 4-4, which was one of the best games I've ever seen with West Ham. He was a young, up-and-coming striker. He went on loan to Bournemouth, come back, and he was banging in goals for West Ham. And then we sort of come towards that 2003 season, which I remember clear as day. I was a 15, 16-year-old kid. I was going through the emotions of West Ham fighting to stay in the league. And we go down, and the very next day, he puts a transfer request in. Literally puts a transfer request in. Now, as years have gone by, he sort of was ill-advised, but he was arrogant. He had a bit of an attitude about him, probably a bit naive because he was young. But then he does the ultimate. He signs for Spurs, right? And then when he scored against us, he did used to celebrate and all, which was like sickening. Obviously, there was moments where Jermain could have come back to West Ham, but I don't think the fan base would have accepted it. Like there was many times where he was linked to us, and it was sort of squashed immediately. But him putting a transfer request in 24 hours after West Ham have just been relegated, everyone's devastated. It was more about him and him wanting to like basically get out because he just didn't care about the club at all. And this is a club that made him. Simple as that. West Ham made Jermain Defoe the player that he was. So yeah, he's my number two. I will always remember that. Always remember that. 24 hours after he puts a transfer request in. When he used to play against us and he scored goals, he used to celebrate. He used to give it back to the fans. Yeah, and we took a punt on him. Obviously, we did get him from Charlton, and we sort of had a compensation fee sort of tribunal, if I remember rightly, with Charlton, and we managed to get him from Charlton. He was a very good young player for West Ham, and him to go to Spurs yet again was also a sort of sickener, because you're not only leaving West Ham, you not only want out at West Ham, you want to go to them, which honestly was sickening. Anyway, Jermain, you're my number two, mate. Absolute wrong'un. Moving on to this man. Number one, Big Fat Frank. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Big Fat Frank. He is my number one traitor of all time. Used to get a lot of stick, Lampard, as a young player, because there was a lot of family bias. Obviously, his dad and obviously Harry Redknapp was his uncle, I think it was. Obviously, there was a lot of family bias, but he was a good player for us. He left, I think, in 2001, if memory serves me right, for about, I think it was like 12 million or 18 million. I can't remember what the fee was. I think it was about 12 million, if I remember rightly. And he got a lot of stick. He got a lot of stick for leaving. And it was when his dad got the sack. I think Harry got the sack. That's when he decided to sort of cut ship and want out. Obviously, Chelsea come in, signed him, and he turned into a Chelsea legend for them, which was very, very hard to see. When he used to play West Ham, He used to get a lot of stick. Obviously, he would give it back. He would score. He would show no respect to West Ham for what they did for him. And then what he used to do, which used to irate a lot of West Ham fans, especially my sort of generation, is he used to start kissing the Chelsea badge in front of the West Ham away end. That wasn't going to go down well. Obviously, there was rumours that basically he could be on the verge of coming back to West Ham as manager before, obviously, Potter and obviously Nuno. But I wouldn't want this geezer anywhere near my club. Yeah, he doesn't represent this club at all, and he was very much pampered in the youth and everything. And there was players that come through that youth academy that were very good players, but Lampard was always going to be like the teacher's pet, and he was Harry's sort of nephew, and obviously Frank Lampard Senior is known as a legend at West Ham, and his son is probably the most hated of the people in the West Ham community, along with Paul Ince. So, when you look at it like that, it is mad that you've got a father who's a club legend and his name is there for all to see, and you've got his son who is despised by many. He is my number one. He is the man that when I grew up and I see him playing, I used to love Frank. But when he started kissing the Chelsea badge and going in on West Ham, I thought, no, 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 no. You've gone way over the line now. And he did go way over the line on numerous occasions. Obviously, there was times in his management career where we used to give it to him also, and the songs are still sung to this day. Do you know what I mean? So, Frank, you are the number one biggest Judas ever at West Ham United. I'm going to say that. Obviously, there was people in the sort of mix who left the club, went to other clubs. Michael Carrick left West Ham, Spurs. Joe Cole left West Ham, Chelsea. You had Canute, who same thing again, Spurs, and you had Glenn Johnson, who was a young player in 2003, left to go to Chelsea, I think it was. Yeah, it was Chelsea. And obviously, you had Arnautovic and Payet, who were two players who sort of left for different reasons. One was for money, one was for family. But they are my top 5 traitors. Yeah. And these are the people that I wouldn't trust at all with anything at all. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. It'd be good to hear what you say, who your top 5 are, and basically go from there. Anyway, that's enough from me. Take care of yourselves out there. Be safe, be well, and I will see you again soon. Who are your top 5 traitors ever? Peace.